At first glance, it might seem like the Seven Kingdoms framework is doing the same thing, but just a different way of sorting the living world into categories. Underneath, the logic is completely different. That difference is everything. A kingdom is a category of classification. So you put organisms in it based on their genetic structure, their cellular biology, their evolutionary lineage. That's the logic, and that's analytic. You divide the world into knowable parts so you can study them, understand them, and ultimately use them more effectively. What we're going to talk about today, it's that Seven Kingdoms framework, which is, it's something which it puts us to think, like, okay, what is a kingdom, and what is, how we understand that. So that's the framework, or the living world, that it's been understood as a 7 sovereign communities, and each with its own intelligence and its own way of being and its own relationship to the whole. So let me introduce them to you. So the first one is the four-legged one, the mammals, the bears, the wolves, the deers, the horses, the dogs. And in Indigenous cosmology, the four-legged are understood as carriers of ancestral wisdom. So they know things we have forgotten. They know where the water is. Can you imagine? Imagine that you're a four-legged. Imagine you're a mammal, a bear, a wolf, a deer. They know where the water is, where the land is changing, where it is safe to be. And they navigate by instinct, which isn't the opposite of intelligence. It is a form of intelligence. And it's an older, a much deeper one. And when you watch an animal move through space and something is in your response, that is the four-legged kingdom communicating. Okay, so that's real. And we have the winged ones, the wing with the wings. We have the birds, the butterflies. I love butterflies, dragonflies, bats. And they move between worlds, between the earth and the sky, between here and elsewhere. And also I want you to imagine you're a butterfly or a bird. How many times have we, at least I have when I was a kid, dreamt about being a bird and being able to fly? So in many traditions, they are understood as messengers. Not in a superstitious way, but in a sense that they are the most sensitive indicators of environmental health we have. Birds, they know before we do when air quality changes, when a storm is building, when an ecosystem is in trouble. A building or neighborhood without birdsong nearby is a place actually that has lost its connection to the winged kingdom. And that's a design problem, not just an aesthetic observation. And when we talk about biophilic design, we always say, like, okay, when we're placing all the senses and we forget the sensorial one, the sound, and everything is okay, but we're not listening, for example, to birds, and everything is reminding us to nature, there is something in us which is saying, like, oh, something is not right here. Because when there are no birds, we go back to the ancient savannah, to who we were coming from. When there were no birds, there was danger. Something is not okay. Then we go to the third kingdom, the reptiles and the crawlers. These are the snakes, the lizards, the turtles, the worms, and the beetles. It's many. And these are the threshold beings. They live between worlds, between land and water, between surface and underground, between the living and the decomposing. The snake sheds its skin and it's literally renewed every time. The worm is transforming what has died into the fertility that feeds what will live. And so this kingdom is about transformation, composting, about becoming. And it's asking us as designers, what in a space needs to be released? What is being composted here so that something new can grow? The fourth one is the water beings, these artificials, the dolphins. Alexandra, I had to think about you. The whales, the frogs, all creatures of rivers and lakes and oceans. But more than the creatures, water itself. In many indigenous cosmologies, water is not a resource as we see it. Water is a living being, and it carries memory. This is not only poetic, really. Research on water's sensitivity to its environment, its chemical and energetic responsiveness to what passes through it, suggests that there is something genuinely real here. And when you consider the water that moves through a building, where it comes from, what it carries in, what it carries away, where it goes and when it leaves, you're in conversation with this kingdom, or you could be. I don't know if you have seen these videos of researchers seeing how sound is changing water. What type of information is water giving us? Think about that. The fifth one is plant life. So we have the trees, we have the grasses, the mosses, the seaweeds, all rooted beings, all rooted in earth. And I want to say something important here, because this is the kingdom we talk most in biophilic design, actually. And yet we still so often treat plants as decoration. As you all know, people say that biophilic design is about plants, and we have so many misconceptions about it. But okay, the science has caught up with what indigenous people have always known, that plants are in constant, intelligent communication. I don't know if you know the work of Suzanne Simard. She's a researcher on forest networks, and she has shown that trees share nutrients through mycorrhizal threads underground and warn each other about insect attacks. They recognize and support their own kin. They even are how to say that, when there is a storm or there is a threat, they, through the network, the mycorrhizal network, they're connecting to each other, and they're giving these signals. So this is biochemistry. And when we bring a plant into a room without asking what it needs to thrive, when we use it as an aesthetic element without honoring its nature, we are missing the conversation entirely. So think about when you buy a plant, or when you incorporate a plant in space. Think about this connection that you can have with this fifth kingdom. The sixth kingdom are insects. The bees, the ants, the beetles, the moths, the flies, all these little small beings. And this is the kingdom most of us have the most complicated relationship with. I have something with mosquitoes. And yet, without insects, 80% of the flowering plant species cannot reproduce. And insects are the connective tissue of most terrestrial ecosystems. And the research on what is being called the insect apocalypse, and this is what we are seeing with the planet boundaries. So 75 decline in flying insect biomass in parts of Europe over the last 30 years. This is one of the most urgent ecological stories of our time. We don't hear much about that. And it is almost entirely invisible in mainstream design discourse, completely. When we build interiors and gardens that insects cannot inhabit, we are participating in that disappearance. So, okay. This kingdom is asking something of us that we have not yet found the courage to hear. And the seventh and last kingdom is the mineral and the stone kingdom. The rocks, the crystals, soil, minerals, sands. Those are the bones of the earth. The walls we're building, the tiles beneath our feet, In Western science, minerals are inert. And in the Seven Kingdoms framework, they are the oldest beings on this planet, bearers of the deepest time. A piece of granite might be 300 million years old. The iron in your blood was forged in a dying star, as you all know. The calcium in your bones was once coral reef. And these materials carry a history that makes human history look like a footnote. And there is growing scientific interest in mineral responsiveness. This is called, I have it here, it's a very difficult word to say. Piezoelectric properties in crystals, which is actually the basis of quartz watch technology and ultrasound equipment. And the electrochemical behavior of soil, for example, the ways the mineral composition of a place shapes everything that grows there. So the mineral kingdom is not silent. We just haven't been listening. So these seven kingdoms are something we should, or I think we should honor when we start designing. These are not categories of taxonomy and not resources in a palette. These are seven sovereign knowing presences, and each with something to say about the spaces we design.
What I've been learning also in the Inca world, they don't use seven kingdoms, but they use three. And they represent it as the, if I read it okay, because I searched it again, it's the Hanan Pacha, it's the upper world, and it's represented by the Condor. And it's like the celestial world, the sky, the sun, the moon. Then you have the middle, the earth way, the Kai Pacha, and that's represented by the Puma. And that's our world, the physical realm where we are and plants and animals live. And then you have like the lower or the inner world, the Uku Pacha, and that's represented by the snake. And it's not in a negative world, as we see some snakes and we are just afraid of them, or we associated with death or something like that. It's like more with the earth's interior, like ancestors, like the seeds, like really into the earth. And they have like sculptures everywhere, like there in Machu Picchu, in the town, everywhere. And I felt also there, as you say, we are not listening enough. It's like we go to nature in the weekends, like for a short amount of time. We don't stay there, and we don't know how to listen anymore because we are so much disconnected from it the whole time, and we are born disconnected. When I was in Machu Picchu, I wanted to stay there the whole day. I just didn't want to leave, and everyone was pulling me like out of and the tour guide and the group, and I said, no, I don't want to leave. And that's the thing, we just go there for a fraction of time, and we need to stay longer to really listen and what it has to say. Time is so, it's a very big part of biophilic design and nature. Without time, nothing exists, nothing changes, and it changes so slowly we barely notice it. So in real observation and focusing on time, then we're going to really see the change. But everyone wants everything so fast nowadays. It's really, we need to learn to be patient again, and really listening to it. So take your time. If you notice a flower, a butterfly, or wherever it is, it's just, really focus on that. There the magic happens, I think.